Do you ever wonder what sets high-end web designers apart and keeps their business alive and thriving long after their competition has thrown in the towel? Well, it's more than the ability to create fancy, trendy designs. It also has to do with the everyday habits they embrace early on in their business. Now, obviously, no two paths look the same, but when you see those designers who are out there killing it, not just financially, but also genuinely enjoying their business, when so many others feel burnt out and overwhelmed, you start to notice a few things they all seem to have in common. So in today's video, I'm sharing the 6 habits that top designers practice that set them up for long-term success. Before we get into that, if attracting and landing your ideal clients has felt like a huge source of frustration for you so far in your business, and it's making you feel anything but successful, then I want you to quickly hit pause and get access to a free training which I recorded called Finding Clients as a New Web Designer. Inside that training, I'm sharing the 7 most common mistakes that could be adding to your frustration and making it unnecessarily hard for yourself to find and win the clients that you dream of serving. Here is the link for you right there, and I'll also put it for you in the description below. Okay, let's look at the top 6 habits you may not have been expecting, but that most successful designers seem to have in common. Habit number 1, they reflect often. When you're busy building your empire, it's easy to get caught up in the next big thing, always living for the future. But before you go dreaming up your next exciting idea, it's worth checking on where you left off with the last one. Not to hash over past mistakes, point fingers, or dwell on things that didn't go to plan, but to learn a little bit about yourself and your audience and to spot patterns you may not have noticed in the thick of things. Some of my best ideas have honestly come out of aha moments that I've had while being completely honest with myself about how my last project went. My favorite way to do this is to have a really simple reflection document ready to go before the project even begins. So I have just 2 simple columns on a page for what went well and what didn't go so well. Having it ready to go and pinned to my browser means that I can note things down as they pop up in my head and the details are fresh instead of trying to remember all the valuable lessons weeks or months later when my brain has already moved on to the next thing. Then the next time I sit down to tackle a similar project, I have a super valuable, specially tailored advice from my past self about how to make sure this time goes even more smoothly. Habit number 2, they schedule regular price increases. Pricing can feel hella overwhelming and even a tad bit arbitrary as a new website designer. You're just picking this random number out of the air, hoping it's not too little that you seriously regret offering the service, and also not too much that you'll scare clients away. So after a bit of snooping around the internet, seeing what other designers with similar quality work are charging, you land on $1,500 for your basic website package saying, oh yeah, I'll raise my prices once I have more experience, or I'll raise my prices once I have a better portfolio. But then months go by, and even though you've now got several more client projects under your belt, the timing has just never felt quite right for bumping up your rates. It was hard enough naming a number in the first place, and you don't mind making less because honestly, you really love what you do. So you just sort of put it off until you see a clear sign that now is the time. Well, here it is. This is your sign. Successful designers don't raise their prices based off how they feel. They write them in their calendar in bright red ink so that there's no erasing them. Some designers opt to increase their prices at a set interval like every 3 months or every 3rd client. I actually have a past Square Secrets business student, Ida Winstead, who recently shared in an interview that she actually does an incremental rate increase with every single project. She said, doing an incremental raise has helped me a lot with imposter syndrome and confidence. Every time I book a project, I raise my rates by a couple $100s, and that's helped me to reach my goals faster than if I had just started and stayed at one rate the entire time. So I make my starting at price on my website, whatever it is I'm looking to make with that next project. And if a client reaches out, then my starting at price is what I'm going to quote them. Sometimes I'll have multiple people reach out at the same time. So in that case, I do a first come, first serve. And then the next person will have to pay $200 more. Now, I thought this was so cool and also sort of a genius way to get fence sitters off the fence because they know it's going to cost them more if they wait any longer. Or maybe you commit to raising your prices a certain amount for every dollar you invest on your own professional development. If you want to hear more about Ida's story, you can find a complete interview with her right there. And also in another recent interview I did with past student, mega successful web designer Mariana Durst, she said this about how she prices her services. She says, never ask your clients to pay more than you have invested in yourself. If I'm asking somebody to invest in me, it's because I'm also investing in my own expertise and becoming faster, becoming better, and becoming more well-rounded. So however you go about raising your prices, make sure it's something that you can actually schedule, something that actually has a measurable value or a concrete due date, rather than just when you have more experience or when you feel more confident, which makes raising your prices way too easy to just put off way down the line into the future. Okay, so on to habit number 3, embraced by high-end designers. They outsource before they feel ready. When you are bootstrapping your business on a baby budget, you get used to wearing 57 hats and doing everything by yourself. You aren't just a website designer. You're also the bookkeeper, the tax advisor, the marketing manager, the content creator, the graphic designer, customer service representative, and the entire IT department. You hustled hard to bring in what you do, being forced to figure it out as you go, and you are not about to go giving away a chunk of that to someone else. You may feel strongly right now that a penny saved is a penny earned, but in order to set up your business to be able to scale it past what you're currently earning, your income cannot be tied to what one single person can achieve in 16 waking hours. Now, you're going to need help, and the sooner you can start handing those tasks off, and if we're being honest, that anyone could do, the sooner you'll be able to be freed up to do the things that only truly you can do, but that you previously just haven't had the bandwidth for. So if you're not sure if you're financially ready to bring on a VA, I actually have a list of questions to help you answer that in this blog post right here. Okay, on to habit number 4, which is to set boundaries and guard them unapologetically. Now, what kind of boundaries are we talking about here? Well, really anything that helps these designers to protect their time, creativity, and sanity. So setting boundaries around which days they'll devote to client work and which days they'll set aside to manage and pour into their own business. Or maybe which projects they'll accept and which projects will always be a no because they don't align with their business or their goals. Or maybe for client communication, setting the expectation that they do in fact have a life and are not available 24/7. Setting boundaries like, hey, here's my office hours, and here's the preferred way that you can reach me, and here's when you can expect a response from me. Successful designers don't reserve a spot on their calendar or start working on a project until they have cash in their hands. And they set clear terms around what happens if a client is late in paying or doesn't get them their content on time, causing the project to be delayed. And most importantly, successful designers don't wait to set these boundaries until they start experiencing burnout. They set them early on, which sets them up for a much more sustainable business in the long term. And I guess what habit number 5 is? Yep, successful designers make a plan to take action on the advice that they are consuming. Are you maybe a podcast junkie, a business book lover, a blog or YouTube binger, or a serial course taker? The internet is a wild and wonderful place full of all the free and paid advice that you could truly ever hope for. We have the world's largest library literally at our fingertips, something that past generations could only dream of. And because all of this wonderful advice is so readily available, it's easy to get stuck in the consuming stage. When we are feeling stuck on a project, it can feel super productive to hit pause and search for more answers, when what our business might actually be begging for is for us to turn off the fire hose of information and make a plan to actually implement the last thing that we spent time learning. Now, it's not easy when there's all this amazing free content out there and it feels wasteful not to take advantage of all of it. And I definitely believe that the most successful designers out there are the ones who never stop learning. I actually literally based my whole business around continuing your education and development as a website designer. But the ones that you see progressing the most quickly are the ones who know when to minimize their browser and get to work putting all of that into action. So my best tip for taking action on what you're consuming is to try setting an area of focus. So maybe this month you are going to focus all in on all things email list building. And if you come across something else that you'd like to read or watch that doesn't really fit with your current area of focus, then you bookmark it or you pin it for later. You can even create different folders or boards based off the topics covered so that when next month your focus is maybe on learning how to leverage Pinterest to showcase your design portfolio, then you'll already have a folder fully ready of learning materials ready to go. So step 1 there is to only consume something if it matches your focus for that month. Then step 2 is to not even think of cracking open a blog post or book unless you know you are prepared to take notes. Then once you have your notes, decide which bits of advice are likely to move the needle most inside of your business if they were implemented well. Then for each top tips that you've highlighted, come with an actual action step, complete with due date for making that thing happen. Okay, So on to the last habit and probably the most important one. Successful designers hit publish before it's perfect. There is literally always going to be something more that you could do. More tweaks to that homepage, better lighting for that Insta story, stronger copy for that email, and maybe more pieces in your portfolio. Successful designers recognize this and just launch the thing anyways. Whether it's their websites, a new freebie opt-in gift, content creation, or a new product or service that they are planning. They know that it's going to do themselves and their clients a heck of a lot more good just getting it out there as it is than to let it sit hidden away in draft mode, always just one tweak away from being perfect. Successful designers celebrate progress over perfection, and they love to inspire their clients by being relatable rather than idle-worthy levels of unattainable. So if you've been hovering over the publish button for months now because you worry that whatever the thing is just not quite perfect, then honestly, now is the time to get it launched and move on to the next level of success in your business. Now, I hope you found today's video helpful. If you haven't already grabbed access to that free training, which I mentioned at the beginning on finding clients, then don't forget to do that now so you can cross habit number 5, taking action off of your list. If you heard something that encouraged you, be sure to let me know by hitting the like button. For the best tips and tricks on building a web design business that you love, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon to be notified of new content dropping each and every week. If you're wondering what to watch next, check out these videos too.